All right, let's dive into a really pivotal chapter in the history of database technology, the story of Oracle 12c. And look, this wasn't just another software update. Oh no, this was a release that fundamentally changed the game for businesses everywhere. To really get why 12c was such a big deal, we've got to wind the clock back to the early 2010s. The tech world was just buzzing. Cloud computing had gone from being this kind of niche idea to the dominant force that was shaking everything up. Businesses were all in on software as a service, and the very foundation of IT was being completely reimagined. And this whole revolution, it presented a massive, massive challenge. You see, the traditional enterprise databases, the workhorses that ran the corporate world, they were built for a totally different era. An era of servers sitting in your own building and really predictable workloads. The cloud demanded agility, efficiency, and a level of consolidation they just weren't built for. And right into this changing landscape, Oracle steps up. Their response wasn't just a minor tweak or an adaptation. It was a loud and clear declaration. The release of Oracle Database 12c was them planting a flag, signaling to the entire industry that, like it or not, the database was officially in the cloud age. And they made that message absolutely impossible to ignore. That little C in 12c, it wasn't just a letter. It literally stood for cloud. This was a brilliant bit of branding, sure, but more than that, it broadcasted a complete and total strategic shift in how they thought about their most important product. So what actually made it a cloud database? Let's break down the key innovations, because there are a few big ones. We'll start with the most fundamental change of all, a complete rethinking of the database architecture itself. At the very heart of 12HE was this idea of a multi-tenant architecture. And the best way to think about it is like this. The old model was like building a separate single-family house for every single one of your applications. Sure, it works, but it's incredibly wasteful. Multi-tenancy was like building a modern apartment building. You have one big, efficient structure, that's your container database, that can safely and securely host tons of different tenants, or as they call them, pluggable databases. And you can really see the difference here. It's night and day. The old way meant one database for every server, which just led to this massive, unmanageable sprawl, high costs, and tons of wasted resources. The 12c way, you get one container to manage many databases. This allowed for incredible consolidation and efficiency, while still giving each application the security and isolation it needed. It was a huge win. But it wasn't just about packing things in more efficiently. The cloud age was also the big data age, and businesses had a desperate need to analyze huge amounts of information, and they needed to do it faster than ever before. This brings us to the second major breakthrough in 12c, analytics at lightning speed. You see, for decades, databases had this fundamental trade-off. You could store your data in rows, which is perfect for your day-to-day transactions, like processing an online sale. Or you could store it in columns, which is way, way faster for running big analytical queries, like, show me our total sales for the entire Northeast region last quarter. You always had to pick one. And Oracle 12c's answer was just so simple and so revolutionary. It just asked, why choose? They introduced a new feature called the in-memory column store. And what it did was let the database keep the data in memory in both formats at the same time. The day-to-day transactional data was still in its speedy row format, but an exact copy was also active in a columnar format, just waiting for those big analytical questions. The real-world impact of this was just staggering. Seriously, this wasn't some minor performance boost. For companies running complex reports, this was a total game changer. Those big analytical queries that used to bog down systems for minutes, sometimes even hours, could now come back with results almost instantly. Okay, so we've got consolidation, check. And we've got incredible speed, check. The third piece of this puzzle was tackling another monster problem of the cloud era, the absolutely exploding cost and complexity of just storing all that data. And their solution for this was a really clever feature called automatic data optimization. The logic behind it is simple and just elegant. Not all of your data is equally important all the time, right? So why on earth would you pay top dollar to store data that almost no one ever looks at? This system automated that whole process of matching how valuable the data is to how much it costs to store it. So here's how it works. When data is brand new and everyone's looking at it, think of your most recent sales figures. It's considered hot, and it lives on the fastest, most expensive storage you've got. Then, as it gets older and people access it less, the database automatically sees that and moves it to warm, less pricey storage. And finally, when it becomes ancient history, truly cold data, it gets compressed and archived away on the cheapest storage available. The beauty of it is that it's all completely automatic, making data storage way more cost-efficient. So when you put all three of these big innovations together, the multi-tenancy, the in-memory analytics, and that smart data optimization, what's the long-term impact? What's the real legacy of Oracle 12c?
Well, it truly redefined what was even possible for an enterprise company operating in the cloud. It gave businesses a clear path to finally consolidate their sprawling databases, a way to get those lightning-fast analytical insights without killing their day-to-day performance, and a smart, automated strategy for getting their data costs under control.
When you look back, this release was so much more than the sum of its parts. It really did mark the dawn of the cloud database era. It set the standard, it laid the architectural groundwork for how databases would have to operate if they wanted to survive, let alone thrive in this new cloud-first world. And that really brings us right up to today. If Oracle 12c set the template for that first generation of cloud databases, with its intense focus on consolidation, speed, and efficiency, it leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. What technologies and what new challenges are going to define the next one?